Hey, glitch seekers and reality debuggers, welcome back to the NPC Energy podcast.
Great to be here.
Ever. Catch yourself zoning out, just completely going through the motions.
Oh, yeah. That feeling's pretty common, I think.
Like maybe the barista who looks like they're running a loop, or, a coworker who just sort of buffers mid-sentence.
Mm-hmm. Or driving home.
Exactly. Driving home and suddenly you're there, but you have zero memory of the trip.
That's it. The classic autopilot commute.
If any of that sounds familiar, well, you've probably felt what we call NPC energy.
Right.
So today, on this simulated journey, we're asking, is your mind just like watching the show? Or can you actually grab the joystick and stop playing on default settings?
It's a fascinating question. And it really gets to the heart of how our brains are wired, This whole autopilot thing isn't just in your head. It's based on real brain mechanisms.
Totally. Psychologists call it automaticity. It's like your brain's efficiency mod, right?
Exactly. It lets us do complex things without really thinking consciously about every single step.
Like walking while thinking about dinner, or typing without looking down, or that highway hypnosis thing we mentioned.
It's incredibly useful. Frees up so much mental energy. Think about learning to drive, how intense that was initially.
Oh, man, yeah. Total focus required.
But now, for experienced drivers, it can become almost completely automatic.
But there's a cost, isn't there? This efficiency.
Yeah.
It means we're less aware sometimes.
That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
We might miss things. Follow social scripts we don't actually want to, or, just not notice important details around us, maybe even make errors.
And this ties right into habits, yeah.
Absolutely. The science of habits is crucial here. You got the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Charles Duhigg popularized this, but the neuroscience backs it up.
Okay, break that down. Cue, routine, reward.
So the cue is the trigger. It could be anything, a place like your kitchen, a time of day, an emotion like stress, certain people, or even just the action that came before.
Got it. Then the routine.
That's the action itself. Physical, mental, emotional. Grabbing that cookie, scrolling social media, maybe a negative thought pattern.
And the reward. That's the payoff.
Yeah, the positive feedback that tells your brain, hey, this worked, do it again. Could be a sugar rush, a dopamine hit from a notification. The key is that the reward satisfies the craving the cue created.
And it needs to be pretty immediate, right? For the brain to link it.
Generally, yes. Immediate reinforcement is powerful. And interestingly, variable rewards, sometimes getting the reward, sometimes not, can make habits even stronger. Think slot machines.
Right. So this loop gets repeated.
And repeated. And it physically strengthens the neural pathway in basal ganglia, a part of the brain involved in habits. Eventually it becomes automatic. A craving kicks in almost unconsciously.
Wow. So these loops are running all the time.
Pretty much. They're essential for learning and functioning, but they can also lock us into patterns we don't consciously choose anymore. Even ones that are, not good for us.
Okay, so actions can become automatic. What about our thinking?
That too. Our thinking has its own set of automatic processes, and sometimes they're flawed. We call these cognitive biases.
Like bugs in our mental software.
That's a great way to put it. They lead to systematic errors in how we perceive things and make judgments.
Give me an example.
Okay, confirmation bias is a big one. We tend to actively seek out and pay more attention to information that confirms what we already believe.
And ignore stuff that contradicts it.
Pretty much, yeah. Or we interpret ambiguous information in a way that fits our existing views.
Okay, what else?
The fundamental attribution error. This is where we explain other people's behavior based on their personality. Oh, they're just lazy. But explain our own behavior based on the situation. Well, I was really stressed.
Yeah, I think we all do that.
We do. Another one is the availability heuristic, or salience bias. We overestimate how likely or important something is if it comes to mind easily.
Like if you just saw a news report about a plane crash, you might feel flying is riskier than it statistically is.
Exactly. Because that vivid example is readily available in your memory. These biases filter our reality without us even noticing most of the time.
So you've got automatic actions, habit loops driving them, and cognitive biases shaping how we even see the world. It all works together to create this default mode.
It conserves energy, which is good from an evolutionary perspective, but it can trap us.
Which brings us perfectly to a story from anonymous sources, case file, #001. It's called The Highway Hypnosis Commute Calamity.
Yes, this one really highlights automaticity in action.
So this listener was commuting, totally routine drive, right? And they completely zoned out. So much so, they drove past a major traffic accident they heard about later.
And didn't remember seeing a thing.
And even missed their scheduled stop. They just kept going on the programmed route.
Their brain was so locked into the driving habit, the driving script, that conscious awareness just wasn't really online for that part of the journey.
It's kind of spooky, isn't it? Makes you really wonder what else we're doing completely on autopilot.
It does. And it leads us to think about what is happening in the brain when we're in that zoned out state.
Right, the default mode network.
Exactly, the DMN. Think of it as what your brain does when it's not busy with a task focused on the outside world. It's like the brain's screensaver or idle animation.
How did scientists even figure this out?
Mostly through brain imaging, like fMRI scans. They noticed that certain brain regions consistently became more active when people were resting, just letting their minds wander, compared to when they were doing a specific, focused task.
Which regions are we talking about?
Key players include parts of the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in planning and self-awareness, the posterior cingulate cortex, and the angular gyrus. They form a network that lights up during this default state.
So when we're not actively doing something out there, the DMN turns on and does what exactly? What's its job?
It seems to be involved in a lot of internally focused thought. Thinking about yourself, your past experiences like autobiographical memories, imagining the future, planning what you'll do later. Thinking about other people, their intentions, their feelings, what psychologists call theory of mind.
So it's like our internal narrator, creating our sense of self.
That's a big part of it, yeah. It helps weave together our past, present, and future into a coherent personal story. It's also when our mind tends to wander, tune out external stimuli, and get lost in thought.
Okay, so that space out feeling,
Yeah.
that's the DMN taking over.
Often, yes. It's actively disengaging from the immediate external world to process internal information.
Seems pretty important then. We probably need it for creativity, self-reflection.
Definitely. The DMN plays a role in insight, problem solving when you're not actively focused on it, processing emotions, consolidating memories, planning for the future. It's essential for a rich inner life.
But I sense a but coming.
Well, yeah. Like most brain systems, it's about balance. An overactive or poorly regulated DMN can cause problems.
Like what?
Rumination's a big one. Getting stuck in repetitive negative thought loops, which is strongly linked to depression and anxiety.
Ah.
Also, problems with focus. If the DMN isn't quieting down when you need to concentrate on an external task, that can contribute to attention issues, potentially like those seen in ADHD.
And memory, you mentioned that earlier.
Right. If your attention is constantly turned inward due to an overactive DMN, you might not properly encode external events into memory. You weren't really paying attention to them.
So it's linked to other things too.
Research suggests connections between DMN dysregulation and conditions like schizophrenia, autism, even loneliness, and Alzheimer's disease. It's a complex area, but the DMN seems crucial for mental well-being.
So double-edged sword then.
Yeah.
Essential, but can trap us if it's running wild.
Exactly.
We actually got another story from anonymous sources that fits right in here. Someone submitted, brain went AFK during critical lore dump.
Haha, love the title.
Right. They zoned out during a really important work meeting, missed key info because their mind just wandered off, thinking about gaming strategies, actually.
Classic DMN hijack. When conscious attention drifts, especially if the external thing isn't super engaging, the DMN readily steps in with our internal thoughts, worries, or daydreams.
Okay, so we've got automaticity, habits, biases, the DMN. It paints a picture of why we sometimes feel like NPCs. But the cool part is we don't have to be. We can grab the controller, right?
Absolutely. We can override these defaults. It takes conscious effort, like learning a new game's controls. Maybe feels awkward at first, but it's entirely possible.
So what's the first button we need to press? Control input number 1.
Mindfulness. It's essentially the antidote to autopilot.
Okay, define mindfulness for us.
It's a practice of paying attention to the present moment, on purpose, and without judgment. Noticing your thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, the environment around you, just as they are.
So the exact opposite of being lost in thought or running on habit.
Precisely. It requires actively engaging your awareness with what's happening right now.
And the benefits are pretty well documented, aren't they? Less stress, better focus.
Huge benefits. Reduced stress and anxiety, improved attention, better emotional regulation, sometimes even better sleep. It's about becoming aware of your internal state without getting carried away by it.
Like tuning into your heads-up display, your HUD, In a game, seeing the info without reacting automatically.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And there's simple ways to practice it. You don't need to sit on a cushion for hours, though that helps too.
Give us some quick hacks.
Okay, mindful breathing is foundational. Just focusing on the physical sensation of breath coming in and going out.
Simple, effective.
A body scan. Systematically bringing gentle attention to different parts of your body, just noticing sensations without trying to change them. The 5 senses exercise. Quickly notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch or feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. Great for grounding yourself.
I like that one, very concrete.
Or even just bringing full attention to a routine task. Mindful dishwashing, mindful teeth brushing, mindful eating. Focus on the sensations.
So what's happening in the brain when we do this? Is it like shutting down the DMN?
It's more like shifting resources.
Yeah.
Mindfulness tends to activate the task positive network, or TPN. This network is involved in focused attention, goal-directed tasks. And interestingly, the TPN and DMN often work in opposition.
Like a seesaw. When one goes up, the other goes down.
Kind of, yeah. So by engaging the TPN through mindful focus, you naturally tend to decrease activity in the DMN, bringing your awareness out of internal wandering and into the present.
Cool. Okay, so mindfulness is control input 1. What's next?
Intentionality. This is about making conscious choices. Choices aligned with your values, your goals. It's the opposite of living by default.
So instead of just reacting or following old habits,
You proactively decide how you want to act based on what's genuinely important to you.
like setting a custom waypoint in an RPG map instead of just wandering aimlessly hoping you find something good.
Exactly like that. It gives your actions direction and purpose.
How do we cultivate that? It seems big.
It starts with getting clear on your values, what really matters to you, your purpose, your why. Maybe even write it down.
Okay.
Define the mission.
Then set goals that actually align with those values. Break them down into smaller, manageable steps. Your quest objectives.
Makes sense.
Then it's about making conscious choices moment to moment. Pause before reacting. Ask, does this align with my goals? Like checking the map before you charge off.
Requires pausing that automatic reaction.
It does. And it means guarding your time and focus. Saying no to things that pull you off course. Designing routines that support your goals, not undermine them. Automating the right things intentionally.
And checking in regularly.
Absolutely. Self-reflection. How am I doing? Am I on track? What adjustments do I need to make? Reviewing the quest log, essentially.
So mindfulness gives us the awareness of where we are, and intentionality gives us the direction we want to go.
You got it. They work hand in hand.
Okay, control input 3.
Cognitive reframing. This is about tackling those automatic thought patterns we talked about, the ANTs, the cognitive distortions. Debugging your inner monologue. Changing the dialogue options.
Exactly. It's about identifying those unhelpful, often inaccurate thoughts, challenging them, and rewriting them into something more balanced and realistic.
Those ANTs, automatic negative thoughts, based on distortions like harshness, remind us.
Things like all or nothing, thinking, seeing things in black and white, no gray areas.
Golly, perfectionism fuel?
Catastrophizing, always jumping to the worst possible outcome. Overgeneralization, one bad event means everything will always be bad.
Mind reading, assuming you know what others are thinking, usually negatively.
Personalization, blaming yourself for things outside your control. Discounting the positive, ignoring good things that happen, and those lovely should statements that just pile on guilt.
Yeah, those sound familiar. So how do we reframe them? Is there a process?
A really practical one is catch it, check it, change it.
Okay.
Become aware of the thought. Notice it when it pops up. Maybe jot it down initially, like in a thought record. Just acknowledging, there's that thought again.
Step 1, awareness. Got it. Check it.
This is where you challenge it. Question its validity. Is it really 100% true? What's the actual evidence for and against it?
Like a little internal detective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you using any distortions? What are other possible explanations? What's the realistic worst case, and could you handle it? What would you tell a friend thinking this? This is often called Socratic questioning.
Okay, really interrogating the thought. Then change it.
Formulate a more balanced, realistic, and helpful alternative thought. It doesn't have to be overly positive sometimes that feels fake, just more accurate.
So not toxic positivity, just factual.
Right. And include self-compassion, maybe some gratitude if appropriate. For example, instead of, I completely failed that presentation.
Catch it.
Okay, check it.
So, well, I was nervous, and that one part didn't go smoothly. But Sarah said she found my points on X really useful, and the Q&A went okay. I didn't completely fail.
Haha.
Finding the evidence. Change it. Okay, I felt nervous and some parts could be smoother, but I also shared some valuable information. I know what to practice for next time. More balanced, more constructive. That makes a huge difference. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about seeing the bigger, more accurate picture.
Precisely. It takes practice, but it's a powerful way to shift your internal landscape.
And anonymous sources had a great example of this, didn't they? Player progression report. From NPC loop to active player.
Yes. That listener described being stuck in procrastination, driven by fear of failure and negative self-talk.
So they use mindfulness to catch those thoughts.
Challenged and reframed them using evidence, and then took intentional small actions. Broke the loop.
From NPC loop to active player. Love it. That's really inspiring.
It shows these techniques really work when applied.
Okay, so we have mindfulness, intentionality, cognitive reframing our core controls. But what about, like, quick hacks? Ways to just jolt ourselves out of the pattern right now.
Now we're getting into modding your mind.
Right.
And the foundation for this is neuroplasticity.
The brain's ability to change itself.
Exactly. It's not fixed. Throughout our lives, our brains constantly reorganize, form new connections, strengthen or weaken old ones based on what we do and think. It's like software that can be updated.
So we can literally rewire our brains.
We can. Repeated actions and thoughts carve deeper pathways. Stop using a pathway, and it weakens. We can leverage this.
Okay, mind hack number 1.
Pattern interrupts. These are things you do deliberately to break a habitual thought, feeling, or behavior in the moment.
Like a quick time event that suddenly pops up. Glitching the system.
Yeah, kinda. It forces you out of autopilot and back into conscious awareness just for a second. Shakes things up.
What kind of things work?
Could be a physical jolt, snapping a rubber band on your wrist, changing your posture dramatically, taking a sudden deep breath, doing something unexpected like standing on one leg for a second.
Okay.
Mental shifts work too. Ask yourself a totally bizarre question. What color is Tuesday? Sing a silly song in your head. Visualize something absurd. Use humor. Focus intensely on some tiny, irrelevant detail in the room.
Trying to derail the train of thought.
Exactly. Environmental tweaks can help quickly change location. If you can, look at an inspiring picture, maybe even something tiny like using blue food coloring in your water, just something novel.
Okay. Anything else?
You can even use conversational interrupts, saying something unexpected in a routine interaction. But, use that one carefully. Don't want to freak people out unnecessarily.
Yeah, maybe test that one on friends first.
Good call. The key thing is, the interrupt creates an opening. It stops the automatic flow.
Yeah.
But then you need to use that opening maybe with mindfulness or reframing or choosing an intentional action to build a new pattern.
Got it. The interrupt isn't the solution. It's the opportunity. Mind hack number 2.
Changing routines. Deliberately alter your predictable patterns. This forces your brain to wake up and pay attention because things aren't happening the way it expects.
So instead of the usual commute.
Take a different route. Change the order you do things in the morning. Try learning a new, unrelated skill. Rearrange your workspace. Even small changes can shake the brain out of its rut.
Like exploring a different path in an RPG or remapping your controller buttons forces you to adapt.
Precisely. It builds new neural pathways just by introducing novelty.
Cool. And mind hack number 3.
Leveraging the habit loop itself. This is sometimes called habit reversal training. You keep the cue, you identify the reward the old routine was giving you, but you swap in a new, healthier routine that provides a similar or better reward.
Okay, example.
Say the cue is feeling stressed, the routine is grabbing junk food, the reward is temporary comfort or distraction.
Common loop.
You keep the cue, stress, but you intentionally replace the routine. Maybe instead of junk food, you do 5 deep breaths or go for a quick walk or listen to one song. The new routine needs to offer some kind of reward, maybe a relief from stress, a feeling of accomplishment, a change of scenery.
So you're hijacking the old loop with a better routine.
Exactly. And a great tool here is using implementation intentions. Pre-plan your response. When I feel stressed, cue. I will take 5 deep breaths, new routine. It preloads the new script.
Makes it easier to execute in the moment.
Much easier. It shows we have these tools to customize our own mental software.
We actually got a hilarious anonymous sources report about this. My hilarious pattern interrupt fail win.
Oh, I remember this one. Nail biting.
Yes. Listener tried to stop biting their nails, and their pattern interrupt was to quack like a duck whenever they caught themselves doing it.
Bold move.
Apparently it was super awkward, especially in public. But the sheer surprise and the fact that it made them laugh actually worked. It broke the automatic pattern enough times that they eventually stopped.
That's brilliant. It perfectly shows how even a slightly absurd interrupt can work just by jolting you out of the habit through surprise, and in this case, humor. Breaks the trance.
Okay, so let's wrap this simulated journey up. We've seen how automaticity, habits, cognitive biases, the DMN, they all contribute to that NPC energy feeling. Running on default.
But the key takeaway is neuroplasticity. Our brains can change. We're not stuck with the default settings forever. We can rewrite the code.
We have the joystick. And the main controls are mindfulness, paying attention.
Intentionality, choosing our direction.
Cognitive reframing, debugging our thoughts.
And these clever mind hacks like pattern interrupts and habit reversal to help break old scripts and install new ones.
It's not about never being on autopilot. That would be exhausting. It's about becoming aware of when we're on autopilot.
And consciously choosing when that's okay. And when we want to take active control, create our own path.
So here's your quest for this week, listeners. Start noticing. When do you feel like you're just running a script? Observe those moments with curiosity, no judgment.
And maybe try just one small thing we talked about. A minute of mindful breathing, catching and checking one negative thought, setting one tiny intention for your day. Or, hey, try a silly pattern interrupt, see what happens.
Let us know how it goes. Share your glitches, your brain mods, your debugging stories. Use the hashtag NPC ENERGY. We'd love to hear them.
Remember, small, consistent steps build up over time. It's about cultivating awareness and the willingness to experiment.
Absolutely. And next time on NPC Energy Podcast, get ready because we are diving deep into the Mandela effect. Are these shared false memories just glitches in our collective recall, or is something stranger going on? Could realities be shifting?
Ooh, that's going to be a fascinating one. Lots of weirdness to explore there.
Totally. So until then, stay glitchy, grab your joysticks.
Remember, you might be living in a simulation.
But you can still aim for the high score.